Gate Gourmet workers' strike is over. Court says that the names of the cops that killed Ijaz Chowdhury cannot stay secret. TTC workers vote in favor of a strike. Reports suggest that the ICC will issue warrants for arrest of Israeli officials. Death toll in Kenya dam burst rises to 120, and UN expresses concern over imminent attack in Darfur by paramilitary group. Good morning. It's Tuesday, April 30th. I'm Nora. Here are your headlines. First, the bargaining committee for Gate Gourmet workers at Pearson Airport have accepted an offer from their employer ending the strike. The offer now has to go to the members to be ratified. The article from the Canadian Press, as it appears in CP24, doesn't contain any details about what the workers will be voting on. They had been on strike since April 16th. Next, an Ontario judge has ruled that 5 officers involved in the death of Ijaz Chowdhury should not have had their names withheld from the public. Chowdhury lived in Mississauga. He was 62 years old and had schizophrenia. In June 2020, his family had called a non-emergency line for help. 5 cops ended up showing up, and one of them fired 2 bullets at Chowdhury, killing him in his apartment. Lawyers for the officers argued that having their names published could put them and their families at risk of violence, as people might find them and cause harm to them. The judge disagreed with that reasoning, arguing that there was a public interest in having their names revealed and that this would help determine if it was an isolated incident or part of a systemic problem. Plus, there have been no vigilante justice groups that have threatened any murderous cops' lives that anyone knows about in Canada, anyway. The Canadian Muslim Lawyers Association and the Canadian Civil Liberties Association had argued against the ban, with the CCLA saying this, quote, "It is vital that the public know about allegations of police misconduct to be able to identify repeat bad actors and see justice be done," unquote. Next, staying in the province, the union representing workers of Toronto's public transit system, the TTC, has said that its members have voted in favor of a strike mandate if negotiations fall apart. Bargaining between the union and the TTC has been ongoing since the collective agreement expired at the end of March. The Amalgamated Transit Union Local 113, which represents around 12,000 TTC workers, said at a vote on Friday, 98% of members voted in favor of a strike. The union says that the TTC is not meeting its demands of job security, wages, and benefits. This is the first time in over a decade that TTC workers have been able to be in a position to strike. In 2011, a law was passed by the Liberal government that prevented them from walking off the job. Last year, an Ontario Superior Court judge ruled that that law was unconstitutional. Turning now to international news, Israeli media is reporting that the International Criminal Court is gearing up to issue warrants for arrest of senior political and military officials in Israel. According to reports, Israel's Ministry of Foreign Affairs warned officials of rumors that they could face prosecution over the ongoing genocide in Gaza at the ICC. The ICC has yet to give any indication if it will in fact issue warrants. Israel is not a member of the court. Palestine was admitted to the court with the status of member state in 2015. Back in October, the ICC chief prosecutor said that his team would be investigating whether any crimes were committed in Gaza and anyone who was found to be in breach of international law. The ICC investigated and prosecuted individuals who've been accused of war crimes, crimes against humanity, and genocide. Last year, the court issued a warrant for the arrest of Vladimir Putin over crimes committed in Ukraine. The ICC case on Gaza would be different than the genocide case before the ICJ, which deals with disputes between states. Next, a dam burst in Kenya has led to a rising death toll, which now sits at 120. The dam broke in Mai Mahiu, north of the capital, Nairobi. Heavy rains from El Nino have been causing flash flooding in the country and destruction in infrastructure, including this dam. Flooding has also resulted in the displacement of more than 130,000 people, according to the government, along with dozens of deaths. Authorities have been struggling to keep up with the conditions brought on by the heavy rain. Other countries in the region have also been struggling with heavy rainfall. This follows record flooding that East Africa saw last year due to a similarly heavy rainy season. And finally, the UN is warning of a potential massacre if the paramilitary group, the Rapid Support Forces, take the capital of the Darfur province, El Fasher. Following a closed-door meeting of the Security Council, the U.S. also echoed those concerns, calling on countries that have been supplying the RSF and the opposing Sudanese army with weapons and support to stop. The U.S. warned that if the war continued, Darfur could see a repeat of the genocide that took place 20 years ago in the region. Reports suggest that the RSF has already razed villages surrounding El Fasher as they close in on the city. The RSF has been receiving military aid from Russia's Wagner Group and the UAE, while some reports have suggested that the Sudanese army has been receiving aid from Iran, marking a return to previously severed diplomatic relations. Those are your headlines for Tuesday, April 30th. It's Tuesday. It's Sandy and Nora Day. The episode coming up is really, really, really good. You will want to hear it. It's going to be in your ears by around noon Eastern time, so in a couple of hours. You are listening to this podcast at sandyandnora.com, on the Real News Network podcast feed, and anywhere you get your podcasts. I hope you have a wonderful Tuesday. Enjoy this last day of April. You're never going to get it back. And I'll talk to you tomorrow on International Workers' Day.